Hey guys, welcome to this video. Today we'll be talking about all you need to know about perimeter to aid it in your primary school leaving examinations. So let's get into this video. Okay guys, so today we'll be looking at perimeter. Before we move on, we have to understand what perimeter is. The perimeter of a shape is basically the distance around that shape. So with that being said, we also have to know what area is. Area is the amount of space occupied by a 2D shape. Examples of 2D shapes include a square, a circle, and a triangle. So today we'll be focusing on the perimeter of a square, a rectangle, a circle, and composite shapes. A composite shape is a shape that consists of many other shapes. And by many other shapes, I mean it's a shape that consists of two or more different shapes. Now let's start by talking about the perimeter of a rectangle. The perimeter of a rectangle is length plus width multiplied by 2. We multiply the answer we get from adding our length to our width by 2 because a rectangle has 2 lengths and 2 widths. Now let's find the perimeter of this rectangle over here. We first have to identify the width and length of the rectangle. The width of the rectangle is 2 centimeters and the length is 3 centimeters. We now add our width and length together, which gives us 5 centimeters. 5 times 2 gives us 10 centimeters, and that is our perimeter. Now let's move on to talk about the perimeter of a square. The perimeter of a square is 2 times, in brackets, length plus width. We can choose any part to be the length and any part to be the width because a square has all equal sides. You can also say the perimeter of a square is equal to 2 times side plus side. Now let's find the perimeter of this square. First we say 4 centimeters plus 4 centimeters, which equals to 8 centimeters. 8 times 2 then gives us 16 centimeters, and that is our perimeter. Now that we are done with finding out the perimeter of a square and rectangle, let's move on to a trickier one, the perimeter of a circle. The perimeter of a circle is equal to 2 pi r, which means perimeter is equal to 2 times pi times radius. Below we see an example of the radius of a circle. The radius of a circle is half of its diameter. The perimeter of a circle can also be pi d, which means perimeter is equal to pi times diameter. Below is an example of the diameter of a circle. Now let's actually try to find the perimeter of some circles. So we have our pi as 22/7. We'll start by looking at a circle with the radius of 7 centimeters. So because we are dealing with the radius, we're going to use the equation perimeter is equal to 2 times pi times radius. Now we just have to substitute our pi for 22/7 and our radius for 7 centimeters. With all of that information, let us work out the perimeter of our circle. So we are going to put our 22/7 times 7 inside brackets and leave the 2 outside. So 7 into itself is 1. 7 into the other 7 is 1. So we have now 22/1 times 1, which gives us 22. 22 times 2 gives us 44 centimeters, and that is our perimeter. Okay guys, so let's just do a quick recap of our working. So first we put our pi, 22/7, and our radius 7 centimeters into brackets, and we leave our 2 outside. The answer we get from multiplying 22/7 times 7 is 22 centimeters. 22 times 2 then gives us 44 centimeters, and that is the perimeter of our circle. Now let's move on to our second question. In this second question, we are dealing with a circle that has a diameter of 14 centimeters. To find the perimeter of the circle, we could use perimeter equals to 2 times pi times r, but we are going to use perimeter equals to pi d because that is a much simpler process. So first thing we're going to do is substitute our pi for 22/7 and our diameter for 14 centimeters. Now let's work out the perimeter of our circle. So our perimeter is equal to pi times diameter. We're going to say our pi 22/7 times our diameter 14 centimeters. 7 into itself is 1. 7 into 14 is 2. So now we're going to say 22/1 times 2. And our answer is equal to 44 centimeters, and that is our perimeter. So guys, that's all you have to do to find the perimeter when you're dealing with diameter. Now let's just do a quick recap of our working. So first we multiply our pi 22/7 times our diameter 14 centimeters, and we get 22/1 times 2, and we get a perimeter of 44 centimeters. Some people may be wondering why our first and second circle have the same perimeter. This is because they're basically the same circle. If you look closely, the diameter of our first circle with a radius of 7 centimeters is obviously 14 centimeters because diameter is 2 times the radius. And if you look closely at our second circle, it obviously has a radius of 7 centimeters, which makes them basically the same circle. Now let's move on to the last part of finding the perimeter of a circle. This is finding the perimeter of a semicircle. We know that the perimeter of a full circle that has a radius is 2 times pi times r, and the perimeter of a full circle that has a diameter is pi times d. But the perimeter of a semicircle is a little bit different. Because a semicircle is half a circle, we are going to divide our answer by 2 and then add the diameter. I'll be explaining why we do this right now. So here we have a full circle with the diameter, and the perimeter of this full circle is pi times diameter. Here we have our semicircle, and it also has a diameter. So the perimeter of this semicircle is pi times d divided by 2 because it is half a circle. And because our diameter is exposed to the outside, we are going to add our diameter. Remember that perimeter is the distance around the shape. So the perimeter of our semicircle is pi times d divided by 2, and then we add our diameter. And that's what we have over here. Pi d divided by 2 plus our diameter of 14 centimeters. Now let's find the perimeter of our semicircle. Our formula is pi times diameter divided by 2 plus our diameter. In this case, our diameter is 14 centimeters. So we are going to put our pi 22/7 times our diameter 14 centimeters into brackets. And we're going to leave our division sign and our 2 outside. So 7 into itself is 1. 7 into 14 is 2. Now we have 22/1 times 2, which gives us 44 centimeters. Remember, we have a division sign and 2 outside. So 44 divided by 2 gives us 22 centimeters. So remember that diameter was supposed to add at the end. So we're going to say 22 plus our diameter, which is 14 centimeters. So So 22 plus 14 gives us 36 centimeters, and that is the perimeter of our semicircle. So guys, that's all we had to do to find the perimeter of our semicircle. Now let's just do a quick recap of our working. So first we put our pi 22/7 and our diameter 14 centimeters into brackets. And then we divided this by 2. 44 divided by 2 gave us 22 centimeters. 22 plus 14 then gave us our perimeter of 36 centimeters. Now let's move on to the perimeter of composite shapes. A composite shape is a shape made from other shapes. This can consist of squares, rectangles, triangles, semicircles, and other shapes as well. Let's look at examples of composite shapes. For the first one, we have a square joined to a rectangle. The second one, we have a cross. And the third one, we have a rectangle joined with a semicircle. These are just few examples of composite shapes. Now let's look at some practical work that involve composite shapes. Before we move on, guys, I want you to remember that perimeter is the distance around a shape. So to find our perimeter, we are just going to add all the distances around the shape. So our perimeter equals to 10 meters plus 15 meters plus 6 meters plus 4 meters, and we have 2 missing numbers. The first thing we have to do is find our missing numbers. Let's start by finding this missing number. To find our missing distance, we'll have to subtract this 6 meters from this 10 meters. So 10 meters minus 6 meters gives us 4 meters, and that is the answer to our missing number. Now let's find our other missing number. To find this missing number, we'll have to subtract this 4 meters from this 15 meters. So 15 meters minus 4 meters gives us 11 meters. Now that we have found all the missing numbers, let us find the perimeter of our shape. Our perimeter is equal to 10 meters plus 15 meters plus 6 meters plus 4 meters plus the 4 meters we found plus the 11 meters we found gives us a perimeter of 50 meters. Now let's move on to find the perimeter of another composite shape. As you can see, guys, this shape is made from a rectangle and from a semicircle. Because this composite shape is made of 2 totally different shapes, we'll have to find the perimeter of each shape first. Let's start by finding the perimeter of the rectangle. To find the perimeter of this rectangle, we'll only be using these distances. We will not be using this distance because it is found inside the composite shape, and we are only interested in the distances around the shape because perimeter is the distance around a shape. So we will only use these distances to find the perimeter of this rectangle. Because these 2 sides of a rectangle are equal, that makes this upper side equal to 10 centimeters. So the perimeter of our rectangle is 28 centimeters plus 10 centimeters plus 10 centimeters, which gives us 48 centimeters. Now it's time to find the perimeter of the semicircle. And don't worry much about this rectangle part, we're going to use it to find the perimeter of our semicircle. The perimeter of our semicircle is pi times diameter, and we're going to divide this by 2 because a semicircle is half a circle. We are not going to be adding the diameter to the perimeter of the semicircle because the diameter is inside the composite shape. And remember, when finding perimeter, we are only interested in the distance around the shape. So now we're going to say our pi 22/7 times our diameter 28 centimeters. Our diameter is 28 centimeters because these 2 sides of the rectangle are equal. Now let's work out the perimeter of this semicircle. So our formula is pi times diameter divided by 2. So now we're going to put our 22/7, which is our pi, into brackets, times our 28 centimeters. And we're going to leave our division sign and our 2 outside. 7 into itself is 1. 7 into 28 is 4. So 22/1 times 4 gives us 88 centimeters. Remember, we're not yet done. We have to divide by 2. So 88 divided by 2 gives us 44 centimeters. And that is our perimeter for the part of the semicircle. So guys, in our working, all we did was multiply our pi 22/7 times our diameter 28 centimeters, and we got 88 centimeters. 88 divided by 2 then gave us 44 centimeters. Now we are just going to add the perimeter of the rectangle and the perimeter of the semicircle to get the perimeter of the composite shape. 48 plus 44 centimeters gives us 92 centimeters. And that is the perimeter of our composite shape. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope this video has helped you understand the perimeter of a square, a rectangle, a circle, and even composite shapes. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and see you in my next video.